Welcome back in. This is the Section YY8 podcast, and you are joining us for the sixth edition of Back to the Mines. Welcome in, Harbin.
Good to be here.
It's always one of our favorite episodes of the year. Um, Back to the Mines, part six. It never gets old, does it?
No, uh, but at the same time, it's not really celebration worthy. It's just what we're expected to do, and we do it, and you carry on.
You just take care of business, survive in advance, and move on.
Yep.
Kentucky's no different.
No, Kentucky is the epitome of that.
Yes. Yes, they are. So I almost pulled off the unthinkable today, Harbin.
What's that?
I almost had Gavin on,
No, you
but
didn't.
but he's sick. He says he's sick.
But
So do you think he's really sick? I can't imagine that he wouldn't want to be on here after we beat Kentucky. I just don't.
I believe he's sick.
I think
I,
he's sick.
I'd venture to agree with that. He's a known Kentucky hater, maybe the biggest Kentucky hater that I know.
Yeah, he's one of the biggest Kentucky haters, if not the biggest Kentucky hater. I'm right there with him, but I think he's got more than me. I think he's a little bit more than me. He's got more hate in his heart for Kentucky than even me.
I would agree with that. Gavin, if you're out there listening, love you, buddy.
Love you, mean it.
Love you, man. That's right.
I was hoping to get Gavin on here and he'd be in his. I'm in my garage tonight. I've got some guests staying here at the house. Didn't want to didn't want to disturb him, and Gavin would have been in his closet if he were on the episode tonight. So um, maybe we'll get Gavin on at some point. He did when I texted him. He did say, "Hey, I really was wanting to be on, but he said I feel like crap." So, um, anyways, we'll try to get him back on. Last night, Harbin. Let's talk about the game. Tennessee versus Kentucky. The Vols win for the 85th time over the Wildcats, 28-18. How you feeling after the win? Vols improved to what is it now? 7-1.
7-1. That's correct. Was it the best game we played all year? No. Was it the prettiest? No. Um, but now that we've played a lot of the meat of our schedule, we're not a pretty football team. And that just is what it is. And that's not a bad thing. Because ugly wins. Um, it's a funny adjustment because the last few years we've been had a very dynamic offense and a defense that just kind of holds pace. Like Bowling loves to says, like this defense is designed to give up 28. Like don't give up 30. This defense is designed to make you hate your life.
Yeah.
Um, and that's what they do each and every week. And it was no different on Saturday. I will say I'm slightly surprised at how much Kentucky moved the ball on us. I want to say they got, see here, they had 366 yards of total offense. I would have lost that bet. I feel like a lot of people would have.
I wouldn't have.
Um, oh yeah. But they didn't capitalize that much. We made stops when we needed to, kind of bend, don't break. And I think the motto of this team is just kind of find a way.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
no, I was just saying like I I think the I think the offense looked pretty good.
Mhm.
Pass protections is still not good at all, which boggles my mind. I never played offensive line, but the run blocking is so good, or it feels very good. Maybe it's just because we have Dylan Sampson. The pass protection is bottom tier, especially on the ends. I think I think the guard like the interior play, the guards and center, it's pretty good. But if your tackles can't stop water, it's a problem, you know. And Jake made a joke during the game, Saturday night. He was like, if we didn't have Dylan Sampson, we'd be 4-3.
Not far off.
All good jokes contain a little bit of truth. Is all I'm gonna say.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not. That's not that far off of a thing to say. I mean, without that guy, you don't know what Peyton Lewis is like. You don't know Cam Seldon. I hardly ever see him out there. I don't know what's happened to him. But you had Peyton Lewis last night. You've got Deshaun Bishop. I think he got a little banged up last night. But without Dylan Sampson, this offense is totally. I mean, he's kind of carried us and bailed us out the first few games. It seems like to me that Nico's finding his footing. The passing game is finding their footing, except our wide receivers are still dropping too many passes. Brazel dropped a touchdown pass. Um, uh, oh gosh, Nimrod dropped a touchdown pass. Would have been a touchdown pass, I think, across the middle. It had two defenders that kind of scissored, crossed each other, and he what? And he didn't draw, or he dropped the football. And and but yeah, I thought that was a walk-in touchdown. So there's 13 or 14 points right there.
Well,
Kitzelman
and yeah, Kitzelman, yes,
Kitzelman dropped one, but after I looked at it again, I mean he probably should have had it, but he got popped pretty good. So I don't
yeah.
really put that much on that one.
Well,
But and then our field goal kicker, I don't know what's happened to him. He was
but before we get into Max Gilbert, the one with Nimrod, you aren't sitting in your normal seats. You got upgraded. Um,
I did.
Day
Sorry,
Day,
Day Day. Sorry,
Day
Day Day.
may back me up on this. He may not. But from our angle, Chaz Nimrod looked like he was about to get Goldberg speared.
Did
I, I,
he?
he didn't. But what I'm saying is, he definitely heard footsteps, and I'm not saying that's an excuse at this level. But I feel like he saw that ball getting closer and closer, and he was starting to think like, "Oh boy, this one's gonna hurt." You know, and I mean, we love to forget that these guys are human. He heard footsteps, you know, and in the grand scheme of things, it didn't matter. Obviously, I wish he would have caught it because ultimately that guy was going to whiff, and he probably would have scored. If not, we'd have been in the red zone. But I don't, I may have a unpopular opinion, but I don't blame Nimrod too much on that play because I feel like he was preparing to get gored. Rhino style. So
Rhino.
yeah, but if you're gonna get gored, you might as well catch it. So
Yeah.
that's the other way of looking at it.
Well, they got. I mean, Nico, I think, is making some progress. I think everybody agrees with that, especially second half of the Bama game. But his receivers got to help him out a little. I mean,
Yeah,
make make the routine plays, which they are for the most part, but you got to catch. He struggled hitting some of these deep passes early on, and it seems like now he's not. Maybe, and now they're not hauling it in. I mean, that's. That's the problem with this offense. I mean, we talked about it last night. My uncle did. Maybe this Tennessee is what they are at this point. They're going to struggle out of the gate. They're going to move the ball, shoot themselves in the foot with a penalty, illegal formation after a big play or a hold, a drop pass, an errant throw, a fumble. I mean, they just for some reason can't get out of their own way. And when they do, they're not bad offensively. Honestly, they're not. I mean, they stopped Kentucky 4th and goal last night, and the ball was what on the 6, 7, 8 yard line, something like that, and marched right down the field. Penalty, holding, had to kick a field goal, missed it. I mean, it's just I counted last night. There was counting the 3 missed field goals and the 2 drop touchdowns. You know, 23 points left on the field. That game shouldn't have been as close as it was. And the Alabama game, I'm just being honest, it shouldn't have been as close as it was because we left points out there too. But they found a way to win. And that's the bottom line. And that's what good football teams do. And that's what they're doing right now. And I think Tennessee's a good football team. Are they the best in the country? Probably not. Are they the best in the conference? The conference is up. It's kind of up for grabs right now. So they just got to keep winning, take care of business, JWTDG this thing, and see what happens. Um, just some things that stood out for me. Talked about Nico, 28 of 38, 292, 1 touchdown, no turnovers. He was sacked twice, like you talked about. Sampson, 27 carries, 143 yards, 2 touchdowns, broke the single season record for rushing touchdowns set by Gene McEver back in 1929. Leading receiver Miles Kitselman, tight end, 6 catches, 97 yards, 1 touchdown. Could have had two. Brew had 5 for 56. Nimrod 3 for 45. Thornton 5 for 36. Um, I thought pretty good performance by the offense if they just get out of their own way. Defense did their thing. They did give up a couple long drives. Kentucky had a pretty long run, first play of the game, 50 something yards, gashed Tennessee right up the gut. They rebounded from there. And then when we went up 21-10, they let Kentucky off the hook. It was third and really long, let them off the hook. And they went down and scored on a two unbelievable catches, honestly, by Kentucky. It was a touchdown pass in the corner, and then they went for two and got it. And both pretty good coverage, but can't remember who was out there covering him. Never turned around, never saw the football. But I think overall, Tennessee's defense did what they needed to do against an offense that's not very good. And Tennessee came out, took care of business. It was a little worrisome there for a little bit, but I think most of their games are going to be like this, unless I'm hoping next week's not. But um, you just never know. I mean, I think they're 24.5 point favorites against Mississippi State, but we were 15.5 against Kentucky and never really threatened that line all night long. So I don't know. Just keep winning. Like we always say, just win the damn game and then move on and see what happens. Mississippi State up next. Go get win number 8 and then go to Georgia, and Carson Beck might throw 3 interceptions. I don't know. He's not been very good lately. So that game's not as unwinnable to me as it was a month or a month and a half ago, or even at the start of the season. I gave us no shot to win that game. I think we can go down there and hang with them and maybe even find a way to win. I'm not saying we will, but I don't think it's undoable at this point. But we got one more game before we talk about that. But I thought overall last night, great performance.
I've got two major, or I wouldn't say major, but big takeaways from the game last night. One, we got to talk about our boy Max Gilbert. Um, Going into the Bama game, he was perfect on the season. And I'm not acting like he's Adam Vinatieri, but he was having a great year. Well, we get to Bama game. He misses two, and they were both over 50 yards. So give him a little bit of a pass. Whatever. Well, with bye week, he comes out against Kentucky. He goes 0 for 3, and every single one was inside 50. Now, your uncle made a point. I'm gonna give him credit on this, and I've put more thought into it, and I think it's extremely true. Max Gilbert is having girl problems. It's not a mechanics issue. It's not a it's not the yips. He's having girl problems. That's all it is. And for the men and women that listen to this show, if you're struggling in your romantic life, it affects you in your craft, in your profession, career, job, everyday life, whatever it is. It affects you a little bit. And I think for somebody at his high of a caliber, that's the only thing that can derail you over a 3 week span.
Maybe
So
true.
whoever that young lady is, I don't know who you are. You may listen to this show. We have many, many listeners from a variety of areas. If you're out there listening to this, apologize or forgive him. He may have messed up and he feels awful about it. Whatever y'all need to do, get right. You don't have to stay together, but get right. Just let him get his mental back. Stay strong, King. We're behind you. Odds are she's probably not worth it. Go down to sorority park, hang out a little bit, and get your mind right. Get back to Mississippi State, make a couple kicks that potentially don't matter, get your confidence back before we head to Athens. That's
Go
all it is.
down. Let's get back on track next week, make a couple field goals against Mississippi State, and
Yeah.
then go down to Georgia and hit the game winner and dump her. Get rid of her. And you can have any sorority girl you could want from Phi Mu.
Or you keep her if you're the
Or
one
keep
that
her. Or
fucked up.
keep her. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Win her back. You know, Whatever the situation may be. I'm not going to try to put my feet in those shoes. My feet can't kick like his. Um, maybe they can over the last few weeks, but when he's on his A game, my feet cannot kick like his. So whatever y'all need to do, figure it out. We're gonna get right. Uh, but yeah,
So
Max, whatever you need to do it. But my second takeaway, I think Tennessee had their biggest play of the year against Kentucky. I do.
okay.
Like it's a cohesive unit. It was in the fourth quarter. I'm 99% sure on that fourth quarter. Samson, he gets stuffed at around the 5 or 6. Looks like the play is going nowhere, and all of a sudden, you see an O lineman hit him in the back. See a tight end hit him in the back. You see you see a wide receiver, and then you see Nico churning, pushing, and all of a sudden that pile just starts slowly moving and moving. And next thing you know, all 11 black Tennessee uniforms are in the end zone. And I think that is a testament to I don't know. I see that play as a bigger metaphor of the season than that one play. I may be reading way too far into it, but in my opinion, that was play of the year for us. I I think that it kind of symbolizes like like we're all there. Like everybody talks about the O line, how bad they've been, and you can read into it and say that all the position players hear that and they got their back. Hey, there's a bunch of different ways you can look at it, but I thought it was awesome because say what you want about Kentucky, they have a very good front seven. Their offense is trash, and their DBs may not be great. Their front seven under Mark Stoops is always going to be pretty good. So just doing that, especially when the game's still in jeopardy late in the game, I really enjoyed seeing that, and that was personally my favorite play of the year. So
I
that's
don't know. I
my
don't know if it
opinion.
was.
Think of yours.
I like it. I don't know if it was the same drive or not, but there was a third down and maybe like eight-ish or something like, third and medium, not really third and long. And Nico rolled out, dodged a couple Kentucky Wildcat would-be tacklers, and got a pass complete to I think it was Thornton
Mm-hmm.
to convert a third down. And if he didn't, I think it was the play. I think it was the drive that Sampson ended up eventually scoring the, I guess, record-breaking touchdown to pass Gene McEver. Anyways, I can't remember if that was the one he got pushed in or if that was a different one. But regardless, I thought that was my play of the game because it showed Nico's kept his poise. He didn't panic. Receiver made a play. That's what we're talking about. They made a play, and it kept a drive alive, which is what you got to do in those situations. I think it was 21-18 at that point, and it was a big time play. Quarterback, wide receiver, both making something happen, and then they capped it off and made it pay off with a touchdown. So kudos to those guys on that. I thought that was a fantastic play. Um, Harbin, I don't know if you were on. I know you had to work this afternoon. I don't know how much you were on social media, but I was looking through and searched through the KSR boys up there in Kentucky, and they were having their usual meltdown about losing to the Vols. I don't know if I'm going to name them my hater and loser of the week. That's why I'm mentioning it now. But the Nick Roush guy from KSR, he just got sucked in again and thought they had us, and we broke their heart yet again. One day maybe they'll understand or figure out that they're not meant to beat Tennessee in football. And then they start going back to this. Oh, well, you all don't have a Final Four. Okay, great. That's just great. We don't have a Final Four, but we still beat you in football or in basketball. We beat you in baseball. We beat you in softball. You don't beat us in anything, maybe volleyball. Okay, congratulations. These people will never get it. I'm convinced they'll never get it. They're a lot like Democrats. They'll never get it. But I just was having a good chuckle this afternoon reading some of the Kentucky fans, and then they were all upset because we were booing injuries. They were legitimately hurt. Oh yeah, they got up and walked off the field under their own power like 30 seconds later. I'm sure they were severely injured. Now I don't
Yeah, I hope
know.
they're okay.
Vandergriff got concussed, I believe. So if we were booing him, that's not good look on us because he was. I saw highlights of him walking off the field. He didn't look like he knew where he was. Um, but the injury stuff, I don't want to talk about this very much. This is good off season talk. They gotta they gotta do something about that. I'm so sick and tired of and Tennessee does it too. I'm so sick and tired of the fake injuries. I can't take it much anymore. It is the only sport besides soccer that this happens. Besides LeBron James flopping on an NBA court, but he doesn't at least act like he's hurt. But yeah, it's got to stop. Can you hear me, Harbin?
I just got one question.
Okay,
I can't hear you. You broke up a little bit there, but I have one question.
okay.
Could you imagine?
I still can't imagine. I don't think I'll ever be able to imagine.
I could never imagine being from Kentucky. Um, so today time change and
Ugh.
it got dark real early. It got dark about 6 o'clock. It felt like 3:30. Imagine living in Harlan where it gets dark at like 3 in the day.
Sun comes up at 10 in the morning, sets about 3 in the day afternoon.
Yeah, I could absolutely not imagine.
Dark days and dark times. Cold winter months are ahead for the southeastern Kentuckians. And their football team lost. They lost Calipari in basketball. Who knows what they're going to be like? It could be a depressing winter for the Big Blue Nation.
Well, good news is Kentucky won't have to worry about spending time paying attention to a bowl game, so that they'll be full-fledged attention come basketball season. So we'll see.
Hey, we saved them money. We're saving them money.
And maybe some of them good East Tennessee boys can go up and help out around Christmas time.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, we do love our comrades to the north enough to take care of them. But it's like it's a big brother little brother
Mhm.
situation. It's something that they may or may not understand ever, but it just is what it is.
I don't think they ever will, but we just got to keep trying to teach them the right way and the good word. That's all we can do for
I said it
them.
said it either last year or 2 years ago. There's only two good things that come out of the state of Kentucky, and it's music and bourbon. And you want to know why their music and bourbon's good?
Why's that?
Because they hate their life so much that they sing about it, and they've also got to drink their way through it because they live.
What about horses?
I don't give a damn about horses. I don't. The Kentucky Derby's 2 minutes. Cool. If we really want to get into it, the horse capital of the world or the horse capital of America is probably Central Florida. So it's stolen valor at that point.
So they have nothing legitimate, basically, is what you're saying.
No, they got bourbon and music.
I like their
I'll,
bourbon. I'll drink their bourbon.
yeah, I love their bourbon. And I love their music. I'm not going to waste y'all's time on all of the great musicians that come from that state. But the majority of their songs are depressing, and it's because they're from Kentucky. Is what it is.
Sad. Sad.
It is sad.
So moving on from Kentucky, we've talked enough about them. Goodbye, Kentucky. We'll see you at Kroger Field next year. Tennessee's got Mississippi State Bulldogs. They're 2-7 coming to the Neyland Stadium next Saturday night, 7 o'clock. We'll pick this game later, but Tennessee, last I saw, was favored by 24.5 points. It's a
What?
pretty big line there. And what are you looking for out of the Volunteers in this game?
Just execution, first and foremost. Uh, don't get caught looking ahead because this is the biggest game of the year. The biggest game of the season right now is when the Mississippi State Bulldogs come to town. And I don't care if we cover or not. It'd be nice to beat the hell out of somebody. But that might just not be who we are. It kind of feels like we kind of play to our competition a little bit. Um, I think that's a product of having a really good defense and a spotty offense, I'll call it. Um, it's one of those it's one of those things where like with the style of game that we play, it doesn't feel like we're ever going to get blown out, but it's going to be hard to blow anybody out, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
It's kind of smash mouth, which under Heupel I didn't think was possible, but I think he kind of heard all the murmurs about how he can't coach a defense, and I think he took that personal. You know, it'd be really nice if we could recruit high school O linemen and develop them, as opposed to trying to buy somebody out of the portal and they turn out to be useless. Um, but hey, you're gonna have weak spots on a football team, and if you don't, you're gonna be a top five college football team of all time. Just is what it is. You're always gonna maybe not weak spots, but you're always gonna have position groups that aren't as good as others. And in my opinion, I think we only have one position group that's not good, for lack of a better term. That's our only position group that I wouldn't grade above a B minus personally.
Yeah, I think I mean they do a pretty good job. I think you said this earlier, uh, run blocking. I assume you're talking about the offensive line, um, but they do a good job run blocking, and they do a mediocre at best job pass blocking. I think they've gotten a little bit better over the last. I thought Alabama they did okay. Yesterday, I know they gave up 2 sacks. They did okay. One of those was I went back. I've watched about the first quarter, and there was a sack on Nico, and it looked like he looked at one route and bailed on it, and the play kind of broke down. Um, so I don't necessarily blame them for that one. I haven't seen when the other one was, or don't remember when it was. But yeah, they need to play better. They can probably get away with playing mediocre football next week. They won't against Georgia. I can promise you that. But yeah, they just need to continue to work, continue to gel as a unit and get better pass blocking for the tribal chief. I said that in the box last night, Harbin. I said, he is my tribal chief, Nico Iamaliava. And there was a Kentucky fan. And let's let everybody know I was very respectful to him, but at one point he started really like getting on my nerves. He just wouldn't be quiet. And then he switched from being a Kentucky fan to a South Carolina fan because South Carolina was beating A&M. And then by the end of the night, he was a Tennessee fan. So I don't know what was going on. He's young and has a lot to learn, I guess. But I was very respectful to him. I didn't say anything nasty. I said it under my breath. So I behaved for everybody that's asking. um, but crap, I forgot where I was going, Harbin. That kid, he got me flustered here.
I think I remember the story from last night. He looked at you and yelled, "Ooh!"
Oh, he kept yelling "USO" at me. And about the 15th time he did it, I looked at whoever was sitting next to me and I was like, I can't, like, I shouldn't have ever said anything. I can't take this anymore. Like, we were down 10-7 and he's over there yelling, "USO" at me. And I'm like, I can't, like, I'm not worried about USOs right now. I'm not worried about the original tribal chief right now. I'm worried about winning this football game. That was funny in the first quarter. It's not in the third. So, anyway,
Uh, I've got to say, um, Nico looked pretty damn oozy last night. He
he
did.
did. He
Uh,
did.
so I've been a critic of him. Um, I've said if he's getting paid that much money, he can handle some criticism. He's starting to look better and better. And that's a trait that you trend to see, or you tend to see with elite players. They get better as the season goes on. With elite programs, the team gets better as the season goes on.
Yeah.
Uh, he looked pretty good last night. Now, we did throw a lot of short passes and screens and whatnot, but even on most of the deep balls that we didn't connect on, they were good throws. I don't, off the top of my head, I don't remember any terrible throws that he made. Feel free to correct me if there was any. I don't remember any.
There was one overthrow, but I don't was that the third quarter or fourth? But that was it. And it really wasn't catchable by anyone. So really no big deal. But no, you're right. I think he was on top of his game last night.
Yeah, I think he's trending upward, which is very good for us. He is the he's definitely the figurehead leader. I don't know who the true leader is, but on paper he is. And when your head honcho is getting better and better, and that's slowly but surely, I'm not saying he made massive strides last night, but I thought he looked really good. I think it's big for the program. I think it's big for the team that he's looking better and better in the first game in November because these last four games on our schedule are huge. They're massive. Um, at least three of them are must wins. And I'm not trying to get ahead of myself. We're on Mississippi State first and foremost.
Laser focused on Mississippi State.
Oh yeah, nothing else matters besides this game against Mississippi State. Um, I know they're not great, but they're scrappy. You know, what was it, 3 or 4 weeks ago? They went to Georgia,
Yeah.
or they went to Athens, lost 41-31. You know, they put
Or was it Texas? They played
no, no, it was Georgia. They
okay.
Georgia beat them 41-31. I remember that. So like they're not a slouch. Nobody in this conference is a slouch. Mississippi State may get labeled as one just because they're 2-7, but they've had some competitive games. I mean, they've also got blown out. Don't get me wrong, but you can't just go in there willy nilly thinking you're playing Tusculum or whoever. You know, you're playing a worthy you're playing a worthy, nameless, faceless opponent, as Heupel said. I don't know what week it was. It was early in the season. You just got to go out there and execute, get better. If we blow them out, great. If we skate by, who cares? It's survive in advance. We've talked about that. We've talked about that on pretty much every episode this season, whether it be golf or football. But it's true. You know, I mean, we sound like a broken record, but it is true. Tennessee controls their own destiny now, especially since Texas A&M got beat by South Carolina this weekend.
Yeah.
This football team can go as far as they want to take themselves. Because in my opinion, nobody in the country looks unbeatable. I think
Mm-mm.
Oregon's the best team in the country. That's personal opinion. That's a conversation for a different time. But especially in the conference, it's wide open. I
Yeah.
mean, off the top of my head, there's potentially five, maybe six teams that have a legitimate chance of the throne, depending on who gets hot where and wins the right game and doesn't F up against a team that they should beat. So with that being said, let's go out there and take care of Mississippi State and let's get to 8-1. Nothing else matters because if you lose to Mississippi State, it's a bigger it's a 2022 moment and it's a bigger scale of the 2016 season.
Yeah.
It is what it is. And in my opinion, it's worse than the 2022 season because we probably weren't going to make the SEC championship game anyway because Georgia went undefeated.
Mm-hmm.
and they beat us, obviously. So you have everything in front of you.
Yeah.
Go ex- go execute and take it. All you can do is beat the team that you're playing that week and worry about everything else later. It's
So
a lot easier said than done, but that's really all it is.
I expect Tennessee to come out. I've said this several times. I feel more confident in it this week than I did last week or any time before, but I think Tennessee comes out and plays pretty well, pretty efficiently. Now, I'm not saying they blow Mississippi State out by 3 or 4 touchdowns, but I hope they do. But I think they come out and play pretty well and uh, win 24-3 or 24-6 or something like that. Maybe 31-6, kind of that area. I hope they win by more.
Uh, I'm just letting you know as of Sunday night, the total for that game is set at 61 and a half.
Oh, okay.
By the way, Vegas knows what they're doing because the total for the Tennessee Kentucky game is set at 46 and a half, and the total points finished at 46. So do with that information what you will.
So I might say it's 38-45-6 or 38-13 or something like that, maybe.
I, I'm
We'll
not
see.
trying to I'm not trying to sway anybody. I'm just letting you know the facts.
We'll see. Well, uh, uh, my I'm looking for Tennessee to come out, like you said, execute, play good football, get out of there, try to stay healthy, and then get ready to go between the hedges here in a couple weeks. Um, so I wanted to look. I pulled this up, and I'm ashamed that I'm pulling it from this website, but it's the New York Times, which is in conjunction with the Athletic. And I don't read anything on the Athletic, but I did like this that I see on here. It's the potential playoff bracket projections. Now that the real playoff rankings come out this Tuesday night. I think 7 o'clock ESPN. So it'll be the initial ones. They started this a couple years ago where they release the top. They were doing the top four. Now it'll be the top 12. I think it's expected that Tennessee will be in this, I would assume. So in this projection, it has Tennessee at number 10 playing at Penn State, who dropped down. It also has the top four seeds is number one, Oregon, number two, Miami Hurricanes, number three, Georgia Bulldogs, four, BYU. Let's see here. Five, Ohio State hosting number 12, Boise State. I mentioned number seven, Penn State and Tennessee. Number six, Notre Dame hosting Alabama. And then number eight, Indiana hosting number nine, Texas. So they've also got this chart on here of the top. It looks like, oh gosh, it just keeps going. Top 28 with ties. And Tennessee comes in here on their poll tied for ninth, so 10th with Boise State. And it has them as 61% chance to make the playoffs and a 12% chance to win the SEC, a 6% chance to host a home playoff game, and a 3% chance to win the national championship. So, where do you expect Tennessee to be in the initial rankings when they come out on Tuesday? I think they're probably going to be around the 9 or 10 spot.
So assuming how they're going to do it is the top four are going to be the leaders of the four major conferences. Um, like you said, that'll be Oregon, Georgia, Miami, and BYU. Iowa State's peed the bed on that one.
Hmm.
Um, I would say, let's see here. In front of us will be Ohio State and Penn State. So that's 5 and 6. We'll call. I'm not going in order, but there's 5 and 6. Texas will be in front of us at 7. Is there anybody else in the SEC that's going to be in front of us?
So if you look, I was reading a little bit about projections, and
No,
uh,
is Notre Dame going to be in front of us?
I think as of right now, they will be. And I was thinking too about and just looking at things how they may play out and reading projections that we said all along if Tennessee goes 10-2, that's a playoff berth. That's a playoff team. I'm not real sure right now at two losses if that's going to hold up because you see pundits talk about the Alabama LSU game is maybe going to be an elimination game, and Tennessee would be left on the outside looking in because our schedule's just not very strong. Um, so I could see an Alabama if they beat LSU jumping us. I think Notre Dame and obviously like Penn State and Ohio State are going to stay in front of us. The key one to watch is Indiana. They still got Ohio State. So I don't know that they're going to be favored to win that game, but they might surprise everybody and beat them. But how do they play against Ohio State? If they go out there and hang with them and lose by one score, they might keep them semi close to where they're at. But if they go out there and get pummeled, then they might fall down, and that moves us up another slot. So there's a lot
The
to go. There's a lot that can happen, though. There's a lot of football to still be played, but
the biggest thing to me is figuring out how important conference championship games are going to be in the decidal poll. Obviously, if you win your conference championship game in the four major conferences, you're in. But let's say there's an upset, and I don't know, perfect example for me would probably be Miami and Clemson, or Miami and whoever they play in the ACC championship. I'll say Miami goes 12-0 and loses in the ACC championship game. How far are they going to drop? I doubt they drop out. I mean, they're 12-1. They lost the conference championship. They're not dropping out, but how far are they going to drop for losing one game? Is there going to be recency bias? Are they going to look at how many close calls they had and then lose man? It's fairly interesting how it's all going to work. Um, Here's my question to you. Let's say, just hypothetically, Tennessee goes 11-1, and we play an 11-1 Texas team in the SEC championship. Let's say Texas beats us, just for conversation's sake. Does that knock us out? We have two losses, but we also beat the one team that Texas lost to. So it's a little triangle at that point. And then you have a two-loss Georgia team who loses to the two teams in the SEC championship game, but they don't have the blessing and the curse of playing in the championship game. They sneak in above us just because we lost last. I get that there's a
yeah,
million variables at
you
hand
know
is what
that
I'm trying to say here.
and that used to be the way it was, and we all wanted to get away from that. And again, you're
Yeah.
always, in the NCAA tournament basketball, this happens every year. Well, so and so got left out, and whatever. And so this is going to happen in college football. Somebody's going to be on the outside looking in, and people are going to cry that they should have been in over whoever. But this used to happen back in the 2000s, 2010s with the BCS because and it happened to Tennessee in 2001. They had one loss and had just beat Florida. They were number two in the country and lost in the SEC championship game, knocked them out of the BCS for a two or three loss Nebraska team. but it was at the end of the year, and the formula said that they were going to get knocked out. It used to happen a lot. LSU was when they beat us in 2007, they were number 7 or 8 in the BCS coming into that game and won, and everybody else lost in front of them, and they vaulted everybody. It could happen. I don't know. I hope we get away from that, where if you play in a conference title game, that a little respect is given, because now it's in the hands of a committee, not a computer formula. Which I still think sometimes they should use a computer formula to keep humans out of it, even though it's humans putting in inputting the information. But um, I don't know. I think and I hope that they would keep you got to the SEC title game or the Big 12 title game, whatever conference it may be. You earned a half of a star for that. And so if you're kind of, in that 5, 6, 7, 8 range and you lose, I don't think they should be punished as severely for playing an extra game that other teams don't play. I think it's all about putting in the teams that are the right teams to make the tournament as competitive as possible. And if you drop a Tennessee out and put Alabama in, who didn't qualify for a title game, and I think that's wrong, um, because you're punishing Tennessee for playing an extra game or punishing whoever. I'm just saying Tennessee for content's sake here. But yeah, it's something that's going to be interesting to watch because we've never done this before in college football. So you know, in basketball, listening to uh, bracketologists, they don't really put anything into championship games on Sundays or Saturdays, because unless it's a bubble team, and if it's Tennessee losing to Auburn a couple years ago didn't affect us. We won the SEC title game, and the next year nothing happened. Um, so in basketball they don't care, and I hope they continue that in football. Of course, these are different people, but we'll see. This is the first initial ranking of several weeks worth, probably about a month and a half worth of rankings to come. So it'll be interesting. I assume Tennessee will be in this initial ranking, probably somewhere in the 8, 9, 10 range, I would guess. I don't think they would be any lower or higher than that, but it'll be interesting. I think Tennessee, if they find a way to win out, go to the SEC title game, that they would, and if they were to lose that title game, like you said, I think they would probably host a playoff game. If they go 10-2, don't make the playoff or don't make the SEC title game, they've lost to Georgia or whoever it may be along the way, to go 10-2, then I think you'll probably see them, if they do qualify for the playoffs, going on the road somewhere. But we'll see. A lot of football to be played. Take care of business next week. And then we got a big one in Athens that will probably eliminate. No, there's no probably. It will eliminate somebody from the SEC title race more than likely. Either Tennessee or Georgia will be finished. As far as the SEC
Looking that way.
championship goes.
Oh, for sure. But like we said 15 minutes ago, you can't eliminate yourself this weekend.
No.
You have a We're laser focused on the Bulldogs 2 weeks in a row.
Touche.
So, and you got to worry about the maroon ones and the damn cowbells this week. So take care of business, and then we can look at what's in front of us.
That's
But as
right.
of right now, the most important game of the season, as of right now, the most important game of the season is Mississippi State,
That's
bar
right.
none.
We'll hear cowbells this weekend.
Yes, we will.
Harbin, before we get to hater and losers, why don't we pick some games? Do you have those handy to read off to us?
I do. I'm gonna try to go in order
What?
of importance. Also, do you have the stat? handy of the last time we picked.
I'm gonna be honest, like everything
If
else,
not,
I,
God, you've lost your
like
fastball.
everything else, I've dropped the ball, Harbin.
Unbelievable.
I'm swamped.
Well, do me a favor. Try to keep up with it this week, and this will be the week that I don't do well,
Okay. I'm
obviously.
gonna write them down as we I'm gonna write them down as we go along here.
All right. So first on the docket, well, Big 12 matchup. We have Coach Prime and the Colorado Buffaloes traveling to Lubbock, Texas to take on the Texas Tech Raiders, Red Raiders. Colorado's giving. What's your thoughts? By the way, Texas Tech coming off a huge upset win in Ames, Iowa against Iowa State, knocking them off.
So what'd you say this line was? Is it
According to my numbers, three.
oof, man, this is a tough one. It's 4 o'clock
Colorado's
on yeah, it's 4 o'clock on Fox in Lubbock. I don't know. I think I'm just gonna go with Colorado because I think they're the better football team, but this could be a back and forth game. Come down to the wire type deal. I'll take Colorado.
I'm riding with Texas Tech. I think they're a little bit better than people give them credit for. Um, as I'm pulling up their schedule right now, and hopefully we don't take too much time on this. God, hit a C instead of an X. All right. Texas Tech's two losses actually came back to back. They were 5-0, or they've lost three games. I'm sorry.
They lost to Washington State, who's now ranked, by the way.
Lost at Washington State. They lost to Baylor at home, which were over a month apart. And then the week after, they lost a heartbreaker at TCU, 35-34. Um, the total 62.5. I think the play in this game is the over. Both these teams love to score and not play defense unless it's a big play. But with it being at home and Texas Tech riding the momentum, give me the Red Raiders. Catching three at home is my official pick for that game. Next up, we have a rivalry game. We have the Holy War. We have BYU traveling to Utah. Utah's catching five against Brigham Young. What do you got?
The Holy War, a great rivalry game there in the state of Utah. The Mormons can't beat it, right? Should be an electric atmosphere at Rice Eccles Stadium there in Salt Lake City. 10:15. So
Fun fact: if you are a student at BYU, you literally cannot beat it.
touche. Touche.
Yeah.
All right, let me get back on my let me get refocused here. Um, so you said BYU's -4.5. This is at Utah, Big 12 after dark, not Pac-12 anymore. Let me look one thing up here while we're picking. Ooh, pretty even matchup predictor. 59.3% for BYU, 40.7% for Utah. I'm going to take Utah to cover, BYU to win, and BYU holds on to their top four ranking. But this is one of those where it wouldn't hurt if Utah beat BYU for our sake in this. So as far as the national scene goes, playoffs. So kind of secretly, even though I'm not picking them, kind of secretly rooting for Utah in this one. But I'll take BYU to win, but I'll take Utah to cover.
Uh, I'm taking BYU to win and cover. I think BYU is pretty good.
They are. They're good.
I think they are, and Utah has been decimated with injuries. Cam Rising is allegedly up for a red shirt, which would make him eligible for like his 17th year in college football. Um, Utah had pretty high hopes. I think they were the favorite to win the Big 12. It's obviously not going to happen now. They're 4-4. It is a rivalry game, so anything can happen. But in this situation, I think momentum and talent prevails. So give me BYU.
Yeah, it looks like I'm looking at their schedule. Utah, they've lost four in a row. Arizona by 13, Arizona State by 8, TCU by 6, and Houston by 3. Um, I mean, none of those teams are great, but it looks like they were semi-competitive. I don't know, weird things happen in these rivalry games. Just something to think about.
Yeah. BYU by a touchdown is my pick. All right. So our final three are down home in the SEC. The next one we got is an interesting matchup. If you looked at this matchup in August, you probably wouldn't. But now it's a good one. Carolina Gamecocks traveling on the Vanderbilt Commodores. Both teams are 6-3, surprisingly. Carolina favored by 3.5 in Nashville. That line is slightly surprising to me.
Hmm.
Beamer and company given 3.5 in Nashville. Who you got?
What time is this game? I can't find it
It's
on
a
my
good question.
list.
I mean, look,
Uh, Come on, Nathan. Can you not read?
4:15.
4:15,
So
mid-afternoon.
3:15.
Uh, I don't know. I can't get a read on South Carolina. Um, they've beat some teams that I wouldn't think they should beat, and they've not played very well against some teams they probably should have played well against. I'm going to take Vandy. I just think Vandy, they keep finding a way to win, and their quarterback kind of is willing them to win right now. And I think Clark Lee, you don't just walk into First Bank Stadium. If you're South Carolina, you don't just walk into First Bank Stadium and expect to win. One of the most hostile environments in all of college football. There'll be thousands of people there. But I think Vandy wins this thing. They keep winning. Somehow they just keep finding a way to win. I never thought I'd have hear myself say that, but I'm taking Vandy. I'll probably regret it. I took them this past weekend plus 6.5 on our pick sheet at Auburn. I had no faith in Auburn. And Vandy went down there and won by 10. They covered and then some. So I'll take Vanderbilt.
No, I actually agree with you on this one. I'm also taking Vandy. I don't know if they win, but I think it's going to be a barn burner. I gun to my head, I think they do win this game, which is so weird to say. I think South Carolina's riding an emotional high after decimating Texas A&M in a night game at William Bryce. Everybody knows how much South Carolina loves night home games. I feel like this might be a case of the classic letdown for South Carolina. You
Hmm.
get your top 10 victory and lose to Vandy the next week.
Is this one of your
Vandy,
trap games?
yeah, yeah, this is a trap game for South Carolina in a weird way. It really is a trap game. The only thing that The only reason I would say it's potentially not a trap game is South Carolina is favored by more than I thought they would be. I figured this game would be kind of a pick 'em with it being in Nashville. But I like Vandy based on this number. And I love me a home dog, especially in a conference game in college football. Um, but yeah, I'm taking Vandy reluctantly. That's pretty much all I got on that
Okay.
one.
Who's our next one?
We're moving on. We're going to Oxford. We're going to Oxford. We have the Rebels hosting the Georgia Bulldogs in a mark. Georgia favored by in Oxford. What are we thinking?
This is a big game. No two ways about it. You got Georgia traveling to Ole Miss, top 10 matchup. I'm trying to look and see what time this game is. Harbin, is it the 3:30 game
I would
in the
assume it's the
SEC?
3:30. Bama LSU is the night game.
Yes, it is. Bama, or sorry, I said top 10. I forgot Ole Miss lost a couple weeks ago. So they're 16th, but Georgia at Ole Miss, 3:30, Vaught Hemingway, Georgia 2.5. I just think Georgia obviously has their flaws right now. They're number two in the country. I don't know that I agree with that, but they're kind of like Tennessee. They just find a way to win. I think they go to Oxford and win this game. I don't think it's a pretty game. And I think Ole Miss might come out and jump on them. And that's something to watch. If Ole Miss jumps on them early, can they sustain that and find a way to win? I mean, you talk about upsetting the order. If Ole Miss wins, that would be a huge loss as far as conference standings go. So I'm gonna take Georgia. I just think Georgia's a better football team. Give me the Bulldogs.
This is my lock of the week.
Uh-oh. Here we go.
It's my lock of the week. I'm taking Georgia minus 2.5. This just it's eerily similar to the Georgia Texas game when everybody's like, "Uh-oh, Georgia's looking shaky. They don't look like they have the last few years. Yada yada yada. They've lost a game. Carson Beck's not playing good. They're vulnerable." Kirby Smart hears all that, and so do the players, and he loves hearing that. And I'm not saying it's a bloodbath, but it's one of those games where Kirby Smart's like, "Hey, don't forget about us. Don't be dumb. Like we're here. Let us remind you." Uh, Georgia by 10 to 14. Yeah, it has potential to get worse than that. I don't think it. I wouldn't put money that it gets worse than that, but it has potential to get worse than that. This is the same Ole Miss team that scored 17 at home against Kentucky. That they're up and down. You don't know what Ole Miss you're going to get. But by God, you have a pretty good idea of what Georgia you're going to get. And for that reason, I'm taking Georgia, and that's my lock of the week. I'm going to go with 28-17 Dogs.
I like it.
Main event for the conference later that night, slightly southeastern, Baton Rouge, Death Valley under the lights. You got the Crimson Tide rolling to town to take on the Bayou Bengals. Bama favored by 2.5. I wouldn't be surprised if that game is a straight pick 'em by the time it kicks off. But nonetheless, as of right now, LSU's catching 2.5 at home against Kellen DeBoer and the Crimson Tide. Who you
Uh,
taking?
Another big game. I mean, Ole Miss and Georgia, big game. I think this one might. Obviously, this is an elimination game. Alabama's at 3-2 in the conference. LSU's 3-1. A loss by either team would have officially especially Alabama would eliminate them probably from the playoffs. Definitely from the SEC title race, which they're on the edge anyways. Lost by LSU. I don't know that they're totally eliminated from playoff talk, but it would definitely eliminate them from the conference title race, more than likely. FPI has this at 69.8% chance for Bama to win, but weird things happen at night on the road in the SEC. Give me LSU.
And I don't want to agree with you. And I've been back and forth on LSU all year long. At first, I was like, they're not any good. And then I was like, they're really good. And I was like, they're pretty good. Bama's coming off a bye. Actually, I think both teams are coming off a bye. Correct me if I'm wrong. Did either one of them play this weekend?
Yeah, they were both off, I believe.
They're both off a bye, so there's really no excuses in this game. Um, you know that LSU crowd's going to be rocking because they feel like this is their best chance since 2019 to beat them. And obviously, that one wasn't even in Baton Rouge. Um, I don't know if they've beat them since then. I don't think they have off the top of my head. I'll sound like an idiot if they have. But
That news flash, Harbin. We're idiots, anyways.
no, yeah, I already knew that. Um, just for show's sake, I'm gonna take Alabama. Just so we don't take the same one. I think it's a coin flip. So I'm gonna take Alabama. Their back's up against the wall. Their season's on the line. We're gonna see what Kellen DeBoer is made of in this game. We really are. And if they lose
Yeah,
this game, there might be some legit outrage in the state of Alabama.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
you,
I'm glad you said that because if they lose this game, Bama fans, donors, fans, everybody, alumni, they've got for the first time in a very, very long time to face the facts that they're not going to a playoff. They're not going to a New Year's Six bowl. They're going to like probably Outback or Gator or Citrus or whatever it may be. And it's a dose of reality they're gonna have to figure out how to handle, and I don't think they're gonna handle it very well. They may give him a pass because it's his first year, but um, I can't. His seat's gonna be super warm going into next year if that happens. But you're right. Bama fans are gonna have to face a hard reality if they lose this game Saturday night. If they don't, then they're still alive and they're still ticking. But it's something is about to happen to them possibly that has not happened to them in a long, long time. And I'm here to see their reaction. I want to see how they react. I don't think it'll be good.
no, if they lose to Tennessee and LSU in the same season, it's it's going to be a tough pill to swallow. I don't know if off the top of my head, well, Saban definitely never did it because Saban only lost to us once,
Yeah.
and they beat LSU that year. No, no, I take it back. They did lose to LSU the same year that we beat them in 22, because LSU scored on,
Yes.
yeah, LSU scored
I
very end
scored
of the game,
late.
overtime or whatever, maybe with Jaden Daniels.
Yes. The year we beat LSU
So
and Alabama. You're
yes,
right.
so 2 out of 3, so 2 out of 3 years, if they lose to LSU and Tennessee in the same season, it might be tough sledding, Bama fans. I really do think this game's a toss up. I think if they play 10 times, they go 5-5. Uh, I'm not particularly sold on LSU, um, or Brian Kelly for that matter. But I'm taking Alabama. I think the backs up against Wall. I think it's an absolute must win. I think it's must win for both, but I think it's more of a must win for Alabama just from the pressure standpoint. Um, so for that reason, I'm taking Alabama.
Who's our last game?
That was our last game, but
Oh,
our main event, Mississippi State at Tennessee. Tennessee, I believe, is a 23.5 point favorite. Uh, would you like me to go first on this one, or do you want to go first?
I'll go first. Give me Tennessee.
Okay.
I think Tennessee comes out and plays their. I keep saying this, and maybe at some point I'll hit it, but I think Tennessee plays their best game of the year, and I think they beat Mississippi State and cover.
On the line, I'm taking Mississippi State.
Mm.
Just be honest with you. 23.5 is a lot, especially for the brand of football that we've been playing the last month and a half. Um, but I think the play of the century, the total set at 61.5. I think you can make some serious Gouda taking the under. Because realistically, that would mean we'd have to score 40 or over 40 and give up 20. I just don't see that happening. I don't see either one of those happening. I don't think this game's 21-10. I'm not saying that. But I also didn't think Kentucky would be 28-18. You know, I think we play well on both sides of the ball, but I don't think we play well enough to beat this team by 4 touchdowns. I just, I just don't. I don't think they're terrible, and hopefully I'm reverse jinxing the hell out of this game. But in my opinion, I'm seeing something along the lines of like 31-34 to 17, 16, something like that. I think we win handedly, and I think we do what we need to do. I just don't think the number that Vegas is putting out there, I think it's too much, personally. We'll
I
see.
if I did bet on it, I would take the under. But Vegas, you're right. Vegas does know what they're doing, so there's a reason it's set at 61. Which when I saw that and you told me that earlier, that's what makes me think Tennessee comes out and scores a lot. And Mississippi State could score a lot too. You know, their head coach is an offensive guy and came from Ole Miss. Is that Jeff Lebby? Is that right?
Sounds right.
So I just don't think he's got the horses to score a ton of points. But they have played some teams close, so it's something to keep an eye on. I don't know. There's something telling me Tennessee plays their best game of the year, looking ahead to Georgia, setting up that game here in a couple weeks. So um, I wouldn't be surprised if we don't cover, but and like we said earlier, Tennessee is who they are at this point, and it's probably going to be a grind. But I don't know. There's something's telling me to take the Vols, so I'm going to take them. Well, I've written down those picks,
It may be.
Harbin. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, no, you're good. Go for it.
I was going to say I wrote down those picks, and we will go over them next week, and we'll see how we did. And we both picked quite a bit differently, so there should be some separation, I would assume.
We'll
There
see.
has to be. Do you have a hater and loser of the week?
I do.
Fire
Uh,
away.
I actually have two. I'm gonna keep them quick.
Okay.
Uh, Friend of the show, Blake Talley, pretty much said he was gonna bully me if I didn't include his. So I have to include his because I am scared of him. Uh,
Mm.
uh, his
What?
his was actually AJ McCarron, but I believe he meant Greg McElroy, talking about how Neyland Stadium pumps in fake crowd noise. Uh, on record, he did say AJ McCarron, but I'm gonna correct him on the show I'm because he's a friend of mine. I don't want him to be wrong by any means. It was Greg McElroy that said that. Um, yeah, he thinks McElroy's a hater and loser for thinking that we pipe in crowd noise just because we have a very loud stadium. So that's Mr. Talley's. Mine is that student at Penn State that decided to try Jason Kelsey. And you can say what you want about Jason Kelsey or the Kelsey family for that matter. You can say whatever you want. Hell, I may agree with you. Uh, um, I hate the young Tom, but I do think he's a good dude. Um, for those that don't know, Jason Kelsey was leaving College Game Day as he made a guest appearance on there, and he was walking to the stadium. They started to get heckled by some frat boys from Penn State. They were giving him shit and whatnot, and he's going along with it. Well, I'm not going to use the actual word because I feel like we may get flagged on Spotify or whatnot. But it was a lot of it's in a lot of people's top three favorite F word. I'll put it that way. He asked how he felt about his brother being an F word for dating Taylor Swift. Well, if Jason Kelsey wasn't famous, he would have killed him because he's a 315-pound man, first ballot Hall of Famer in the NFL. And this kid might have been a buck 70 soaking wet. Um, but instead, he just grabs this kid's phone out of his hand and Gronk spikes it on the pavement, just shattering the phone. In my opinion, we need more Jason Kelseys in the world after that. There's a lot of people that just love to say things like there's no consequences, pretty much just living life like they're on the internet 24/7. So we all said dumb things while we were college age. I'm not going to gripe too much on this kid. He probably thought he was being funny. Be good on Jason Kelsey. Metaphor being there are consequences for your actions. And that kid probably had to go to the Verizon store this morning. So good on Jason Kelsey. I didn't think I'd ever say that, but good on him. I do think he is a good human, even though he played for the Eagles his whole career. But yeah, that kid's my hater and loser. And shout out to Jason for that young man's wrongs.
He learned an expensive lesson by
Yeah,
having to go get a new phone. Maybe he had insurance and didn't have to pay for a new phone. I don't know.
parents probably footed the bill.
Probably. So, I've got a couple. They're not really my haters and losers, but more shout out hater and losers. My uncle being one of them. He forgot the stickers yesterday, Harbin. The
I'm
JWTD stickers and JWTDG stickers, and it almost cost us.
absolutely.
Unbelievable.
I was fully prepared to blame Eric Neese if we lost.
I was too. I told him prior, I said, if we lose, this is on you, right? And it was a rough day for the nieces yesterday. Just unorganized. We got to do better, and we will do better starting next week at Mississippi State. Let's see. Oh, I had another one, Harbin, and it slipped my mind. Golly. Oh, Blake Dutton. He's one of my auxiliary hater and losers of the week. It was his birthday the other day. I texted him happy birthday. He said, "Hey, I'll see you Saturday at the tailgate." Never showed up yesterday at the tailgate. Um, which to some probably wasn't a bad thing. So, but I was wanting to see Blake, at least say hey to him. He didn't even show up. Fake news Dutton. I don't know where he ended up. Somebody said they saw him. They said he was just right across the road, but he couldn't even bother to come over and see us. So, uh, shout out for the hater and loser Blake Dutton. Big hater and loser of the week for me is the media. And I'm gonna get a little political here, Harbin. It is the elections Tuesday, but they have pushed so many lies and hoaxes about President Trump, things that he said and how they twisted it. I don't see how you could be a rational human being and listen to these people and believe this stuff when you go back and there's actual footage to watch of what he really said and judge for yourself and still go along and believe it. But they said he wanted to assassinate Liz Cheney. He never said that. Um, the joke about and it wasn't him that said it, but the joke about Puerto Rico being a floating island of garbage. It was probably in poor taste, but he wasn't wrong. Puerto Rico has a huge problem with garbage. Look it up. It's factually correct. And it's out there for anybody to read if you want to take the time to do such a thing instead of listening to CNN and MSNBC to form your opinion. But they have a huge problem with garbage. And that was the whole premise of the joke. But that was twisted out. We've been called Nazis this week and garbage and fascist. And I'm sick and tired of it. The election's on Tuesday. Um, I encourage people all the time to go vote, especially in local elections. I tell people all the time that's the ones you need to vote in, your local and state elections. Piss on the federal elections most of the time, but get out there and vote for Trump this week. If you're a rational thinking American, you got to go out there and vote for Trump. If you vote for Kamala or anybody else, you're a problem in this country. I'm just going to say it. I might be wrong, hater and loser of the week, but you've got mental issues if you vote for Kamala Harris this week. Um, and if you've already voted for her, shame on you. But if you haven't voted yet, get out there and vote Trump. I need to mark Pence off of that, take him off. That's from 4 years ago. But get out there and vote. Vote hard. Wear red and vote hard for Trump this week. But my hater and loser of the week is the media for all the lies and the hoaxes they continue to push. And there's people we know that believe that crap. And it's sad. It's really sad. And we talked about it. Patrick and I at the tailgate yesterday, we talked about it. It's like just common sense. How can you believe some of this stuff? I don't get it. I'll never get it. And there's people that will go right along and run with it. So whatever. But get out there and vote this week. The election's Tuesday night. Playoff rankings Tuesday night. Uh, election Tuesday night. Big night on Tuesday, Harbin. And I won't even be here. I'll be in Murfreesboro at a work conference this week, so I'll be watching, trying to figure out where the Vols are in the playoff rankings and if Trump won the presidency or not from Murfreesboro. So I'll be on pins and needles Tuesday night. Sad.
It's gonna be a big one. Super Tuesday.
Super Tuesday. Yes. Um, I do need to give a shout out, Harbin, and this is bad on you and me. We didn't give Brett Stanton a shout out for being at the tailgate a few weeks ago or a couple weeks ago, and he called us out. So that's on us, Brett. But I'm giving you a shout out. At least I don't know about Harbin.
It ain't on me. I'm not giving Brett Stanton a shout out.
Okay, well I am. Brett, thanks for coming to the tailgate. We did. I went back and listened. I think I named everybody else that was there except Brett that day.
He may or may not hear this because he has a spotty internet connection. Um,
Oh, he got that Biden internet?
yeah, apparently. Nobody that listens to this is gonna understand that joke outside of like two or three people. And I'm not gonna go any further than that. But yeah, spotty internet, that Biden internet. Um, Hopefully he can hear this message after a while.
Hopefully you can. Maybe if he's listening at work, his does he go to an
Yeah,
office?
yeah. Hopefully he can hop on the office Wi-Fi and he'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. Yeah. He can stream it at work on that good internet.
Yeah, if he tries to look gigs for him to hear this.
All right. Well, that's all I got. Vols are still in playoff contention. Big one this weekend against Mississippi State. Harbin and I will be there. I assume you'll be there, right, Harbin?
I will.
We'll be back in G10. Pretty good tailgate this past weekend. Wasn't as it was kind of wild. I mean, it was a sold out crowd. But pregame, several of us were talking like the crowd was noticeably smaller than it was for that Bama game a couple weeks ago. I mean, that garage for Bama, that was as many people as I've ever seen in a tailgate spot before. It was unbelievable how many people were there, but it was total opposite of that. Not that the parking lot was full of cars, but there just wasn't the volume of people. I guess the randos that don't have tickets weren't hanging around as much this weekend, but still a good crowd showed up. We had about 25, 30 people at the tailgate. So if you're going to the game Saturday, come by and see us. Um, 7 o'clock kickoff. I assume we're going to try to get down there, Harbin. I'm not playing golf Saturday. I'm not doing nothing else. I'll be here waiting on you all. I don't know what time we're going yet, but I assume we'll be down there between 1, 2 o'clock. So uh, I made a decision to go play golf Saturday morning at 8:30, and let's just say it didn't go as quickly as I hoped it would, and we got stuck behind a group of players who were not American, and they were very slow. I'll let you try to figure out where they may be from. Um, they were very slow, and we also didn't play very well at all. It was me and the Bernards and Tanner Humphrey, and we did not play well at all. None of us. Even Nick played all right, but the rest of us did not. So that contributed to some of the slow play. But no golf this weekend for me, and I should be here waiting on you all unless something happens. Unforeseen circumstance happens.
If the creek don't rise.
The creek don't rise, and I don't know if Trump don't win. I may not go. I may not leave the house, Harbin.
Is that breaking news?
We'll see. We'll see how I feel.
We'll see.
I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, if you're down there this weekend, come see us. We'll be there. I don't know what kind of food we'll have, but if you're coming by, let us know, and we'll let you know when we're going to be there. Maybe what kind of food we're having. If you have been to the tailgate and left one of your coolers, please call me. Well, it won't do you no good because I won't be here most of the week. So, um, I guess I'll keep them here in my garage, safe and sound for you. But I'm loading up on coolers, Harbin. I've got coolers everywhere here in this garage that people keep leaving, and I'm happy to take care of it for them. I know it's hard. You can't take it into the game, and nobody wants to come back to the truck after the game because they want to get out of there, especially when the game kicks off at 8. Takes 4.5 hours to play. Um, so it's late anyways. But yeah, keeping a lot of coolers safe for folks here in the Section YY8 compound.
Just helping people help people.
That's right. That's right. Well, we appreciate everybody listening. Remember, you can find us wherever you get your podcast. Numbers are looking good, Harbin. We're getting a lot of listeners, a lot of new followers. Subscribers are up on the YouTube channel. getting some new follows on the Twitter and the Instagram and all that good stuff. But if you do watch us on YouTube, thanks for watching us. Go down there and hit that like and subscribe button down below. Leave us a comment and tell us if you like the show or we suck or we're idiots or whatever it may be. But appreciate you listening and make sure you like, subscribe, comment, and share it. That's how we get the word out. So we're also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You can go in there and listen to us. We had pretty good numbers here this fall. We're way up this fall as far as listeners, average listeners go compared to this time last year. So if you're new to here, new to the show, appreciate you listening. If you've been here for a while, we love you. Definitely, definitely glad you listen and appreciate it. Right, Harbin?
Absolutely.
Passed out some koozies yesterday at the tailgate. Inward half founder slash owner Todd Wakefield, old college classmate of mine from the University of Tennessee. Ran in and talked to him for a few minutes. And oh, very quickly before we go, I'm sorry, just hit me. You all found out where Jake's going for his next round of Q school.
We did. First week of December, him and I will be in Valdosta, Georgia, at Kinderloo Forest.
Long course, he said, about 7,800 yards.
Yeah, all of the second stage sites are going to play long. Each stage kind of has a theme, for lack of a better term. And theme of second stage is kind of a driving competition for the most part. Um, but hey, it sets up good for him. That was his first choice. He's played there a lot in college. So yeah, just gotta keep grinding. And
When
we'll
when is that again? When is that?
I want to say it's December 3rd through the 6th.
Oh, so he's got another month to train to get ready. So cool.
Yeah. We'll talk about it here in a few
Yeah.
weeks.
We'll have him on before y'all head down there and get an update on it. So um I told him if he gets to the TV round, which is after this next one, correct?
Yeah, the final round is televised.
So if he gets to the TV round, I've got to get him like something YY8 to put on his body somewhere, bag, body. We got to get. I'll have to do something. Because he is Jake's good friend of both of ours. Known Jake for a long time since you guys were youngins, as they say. And Jake listens to the show, I think, pretty much every week. Jake and I talk NASCAR quite a bit too. He's a big racing fan, not just NASCAR, but racing fan. So um, yeah, pulling for him. Hopefully he can get to TV, and if he does, that TV round and the next round to move on, we'll get him something YY8 too, even if it's just a sticker to put on his hat. We'll we'll get him something to wear. So stay tuned. We'll have more info as we go along. It's a few weeks away, so we'll update everybody on that. All right, Harbin, I'm out of here. I got to go finish packing my bags. I'm hitting the road, trying to learn the ways to make Knoxville a better place to live, work, and play. Appreciate everybody listening. Harbin, we'll see you next week. And everybody else, go Vols, go vote. And we'll see you next week on the Section YY8 podcast.